this edition of Alaska's Political Pipeline. I'm Tracy Sinclair. With the announcement that President Joe Biden was withdrawing from the 2024 presidential race, we spoke with the chair of the Alaska Democratic Party, Mike Wenstrup, about his response and what he felt when he first heard the news. Here's an extended version of that interview between Joe Cadotte and Mike Wenstrup.
What was your reaction to finding out this morning that President Biden has decided to no longer have his hat in the ring to be reelected president?
I think my biggest reaction was just seeing yet another example of how selfless and how much of a patriot President Biden is. Once again, he's putting this country ahead of his own interest and what he wants. He's been one of the most consequential presidents of my lifetime. And I think this is yet just another example of him putting America first.
How will the convention work since Alaskans have already made promises to pledge their support to Biden, who won the state primary? How is this going to work from here with those delegates?
So because of President Biden ending his campaign, all his pledge delegates are free to vote for any candidate they're choosing. I do believe there's going to be a groundswell and movement towards everyone endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris moving forward. I've spoken to several of our delegates. Currently, I've spoken also to our leadership, and many of us are at this point those that I've spoken to are all strongly supporting Vice President Harris.
Are you planning to support Vice President Harris as the new candidate for president?
Absolutely.
There was a second part to that question that I might as well ask, even though your answer kind of nullified it a little bit. Is there anybody else who you could see being that person, since I know there's a lot of nationwide discussion right now on possible options?
I think there's a ton of great Democratic leaders across the country who would make a great president. Nobody has Vice President Harris's record and her ability to not only unite the party, but unite the country and become the first woman president.
And some Democrats have previously supported an open convention. Would you support that?
Well, I do think the delegates will get the ultimate say in who they vote for. So in that sense, it would be an open convention. However, I'm also in favor of the party uniting as quickly as possible behind the strongest candidate. And I do believe that candidate is Vice President Harris.
We've gotten a lot of Republican perspective today. Republicans that say that if President Biden is saying that he no longer is running for president, that he should step down as the president. What would your reaction be to a Republican or a conservative who would say that he's not fit to be in office at all right now, especially since he stepped down to run? What would your reaction be to those folks?
My reaction would be is that their nominee for president should not be anywhere near the White House or running for elected office anywhere in this country. He's a convicted felon. I think they should clean up their own house before they worry about what the Democrats are doing.
We're in a lot of what a lot of people would characterize as unusual times, uncertain times politically for a lot of reasons. What kind of words would you have for those supporters of Joe Biden in Alaska who now see this and don't know what to do with their vote? Or what is your message to those folks out there who feel politically uncertain or anxious given these unusual circumstances in this presidential election?
Well, absolutely. This is one of the most consequential elections we've had in decades. And I think everybody knows what the stakes are right now. I'd say for anybody who supported Joe Biden as president, that to follow his lead, he selected Kamala Harris as one of his first acts when he was running for president. He supported her, and today he's already out and endorsed her. And I think we can have confidence that she'll be a wonderful president and has the ability to win and take us in a new direction.
If we do have Vice President Kamala Harris as the front runner, if that happens, who are we looking at for a vice presidential? I know this is early candidate.
I think that decision is going to be up to the vice president. It'll be one of her biggest decisions she'll have to make. I think there's a lot of great governors, senators, congresspeople from around the country who would be wonderful vice presidents. And I'm sure she's got a list of people and is working on that right now.
You know, we just had former President Trump get shot last weekend. We had, for the first time in more than a century, up until today, two presidential candidates running against each other who both currently have experience as president, which is my understanding that hasn't happened in over 100 years. And then you have the president of the United States announce, while he's currently serving as president, that he's stepping down and allowing somebody else to run and be a leader in that role to run against the top Republican. That's a long way of saying, are we in historic times right now?
I think we are in historic times. I think one of the biggest issues is that the disaster that was the Donald Trump presidency and the chaos and cruelty that he put into that office and everything he did has created a hypertension around the whole country and the world really watching us and what we'll do. And this is historic times. And I think we have a chance now to elect the first Black woman president of the United States. And that will be a huge movement forward. She'll, I think we have the ability to lead us in a new direction, but also carry on the great work that President Biden has done.
How important is this presidential election? How important is this one particularly to this country and to Alaskans?
You know, it's cliche to say this is the most important election of our lives. Every election is important. From school board to the president of the United States has an impact on our lives. And I think really voters just need to remember that every election is important and they should go out and vote. Whoever they're voting for, voter participation really is key. And we all have a chance to have a say in who our leaders are. And this election is big, it's important, but they all are.
Got it. Is there anything that I didn't ask, or just anything on the broad topic that stems out of the news of the president saying he's not going to run again? Anything I didn't ask, or anything else you want to talk about? What is the Alaskan reaction to this?
You know, I think it's early for me to say what the Alaska reaction would be. The people I've talked to and reached out to have said there's sort of sadness because they love President Biden, but there's also excitement about nominating Vice President Harris. I think everyone's a little bit in shock and just trying to absorb the reactions. But from what I've seen, from who I've heard, and what I've seen on social media, and from the people who have reached out to me, what I really see is a renewed excitement to go out and elect Kamala Harris as our next president.
Is there enough time to unite that momentum nationwide? Because we don't have a whole lot of time.
I think there is. You know, our election cycle is actually one of the longest election cycles of any nation in the world. Many nations have a much shorter cycle. We will be united. We'll be united soon. I think we'll be united before the convention, and we'll come out of the convention strong and ready to elect Democrats up and down the ticket.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Alaska's Political Pipeline. Please like and subscribe to this podcast.